Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saturday HOA Brunch, presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. Please sit back, relax, and join Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick for an hour of entertaining information about HOAs and HOA law.
Good morning, Sacramento. 9:06 on the clock. Frank, there's a little bit of an echo. Can you take care of that? Thanks. I appreciate it. So I'm excited today, Counselor, because one, we get to do our power hour of industry talk, right, about community associations. But two, today I get to be the student, because way before I was even a thought in this world, this transpired, this idea for community associations.
Right,
and
way back in the day.
We have two professors of the subject and guests. One's been on our show before.
A couple of times.
Yeah, Mr. Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni Community Management.
Friend of the show, a sponsor of the show.
Absolutely. And then we have another special lady that's a firecracker that they've flown in before for Community Associations Institute presentations, Julie Adamen.
And Julie Adamen's been on our show via telephone.
Via telephone, but she's in studio today. So we have two live guests, and they're going to just give us a rundown and a historical timeline of how this whole thing blossomed.
That's just going to be part of it. So we're going to do a historical timeline plus a lot of really good information for board members and managers. Yes, this is the Saturday HOA Brunch brought to you by Angius&Terry. If you want to join, if you want to ask any questions, it's 888-923-1380. 888-923-1380. And today it's going to be Frank Jolly on the sticks, and he's running a little slow today because of some recent work and
surgery.
Yeah, and so hopefully he's going to be able to do his job. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope he can make it through the show. That's all we're asking
he's
for.
He's making noises back there.
Well, let's introduce him first. Let's go ladies first, right? Let's have our manners.
What a gentleman, absolutely.
And Julie Adamen, welcome in studio. You've called in before. Give us a little bit of history about yourself in the industry and what you do now as a vendor or provider for the industry.
Well, first, thanks for having me. This has just been terrific. Been a last fun couple of days here with Rolf at Omni Community Management. And let's see, where to start. It all started at a small radio station in Fresno, California. No, it didn't start there. I've been in the business for these 30 years, just about. Started out as a community manager like everybody else did. We just fell into the business. I think I walked into a company called Mercury Property Management in Cathedral City, California at that time and said, I need a job. And they said, you're hired.
And that's in Southern California?
In Southern California, in Palm Springs area, Cathedral City, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I did, work for them. And in our business, if you last 3 months, you're going to last 6. If you last 6, you're going to last a year. If you last a year, maybe 4. After that, you're a lifer.
Right. You need a tough skin, right?
You need a
thick
tough skin and a thick skin, or just maybe not a lot of brain cells, one of the two.
Either or.
But I'll tell you what, it really suited me. I loved it because it was a great fast pace. I loved working with the people, and I found out I was good at it. So I just went up the chain from there, ended up being a large-scale community manager, had 1,300 condominiums on site, $5.2 million budget. At the time, the largest construction defect settlement ever.
Wow.
At that time at Palm Valley Country Club.
When was this? Let's keep the dates.
This would be 1991, I think. 1991, $34 million settlement.
Yeah.
That was what it was. Huge at the time.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, that's right. Yeah,
were they able to make the repairs that they needed?
The association was extremely well managed by their board of directors. They also had a management company, and I was their manager for 5 years, but board was great. They had actually done the repairs as they went along, so many of them that once they got the settlement, they finished up.
Interesting. As they went along.
As they went along, and things were taken care of. They just did. Yep.
Was it a necessity to get the repairs done as they went along?
Well, especially the roof issues. Yes.
Okay. All
yes,
right.
They were.
And so that was the beginning way back then.
That was the beginning. And then, I started this business. And what I do now is I recruit and I place community association managers, but I also do a tremendous amount of consulting to management companies and boards of directors. And I've got a new one. Can I drum roll? Do I have a drum roll? Can I get a drum roll?
I think
Frank's tweeting right now. I don't have a drum roll yet over here. No, but go ahead, Julie. Give us a new one.
Well, I have a new business. It's coming out. You'll all see it in about probably a month and a half, 2 months. And it's Community Association Management 101. And they are online classes for the absolute new person to the business.
And they're going to be per state. You're going to have a curriculum per state so that there's not...
Well, actually, most of them are so general, they will go across states. However, I do have one set out for California because there are so many laws that are different here. But most everything will be across the board. This is basic stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
California has our laws in California for community associations are vastly different than most other states. Most other states are pretty similar. California is different. So, Julie, you have a fantastic website. I must say that, and I think everyone should know that. So, what it is? Is it ADAMEN?
ADAMEN-INC.com.
Easy, right?
Adamen-Inc.com.
Yeah, you could get to it pretty easily by just going ADAMEN if you don't remember the whole name. But it's chock full of information.
Jobs, if you want a job in the industry.
Jobs, that's correct. There's jobs posted. There's literally hundreds of articles up there for boards that I've written, that Rolf has written.
Has written.
Absolutely. He's been writing for me for, how long have you been writing for
15 years.
15 years, yep. I met Rolf.
Kudos.
I was teaching a class for CACM, California Association of Community Managers. Where was that? Where were we?
That was up in Marin County.
Marin County. And there was this guy sitting right up front, and he was like the smartest person in the room. I'm like, wow.
And he was sitting right next to Rolf.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right, he was. But so I thought it was Rolf talking all that time. So anyway, that's where we met. And
Rolf is a genius.
He's
Absolutely.
my brother from another mother. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. On your website, everyone should know, is your 1-minute lessons.
The Manager Minute.
Wow.
You like those?
I love it because my attention span is shorter than Jonathan's.
I appreciate that.
If I can believe that.
So that makes it 6 seconds?
And you get so much, and that's all we need, really. And it's good because so what I do now is once a day, I go on your website, I grab one of those, look at it, listen to it, stop for a minute, do some stretches. I'm back to work, and I got some good information.
I appreciate that. We're going to start doing them for board members, too, so it'll be a board member minute as well as the Manager Minute.
I got you. So it will be you doing them about a board member issue.
Just a board member issue, just quick information.
One little topic, and that's good for the day.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I guess we better interview the genius in the room, right? And just introduce and bring him back in studio while we have Julie. And that would be our special friend and CEO of Omni Community Management, Mr. Rolf Crocker. Apparently, he's a scholar also. So
lies and rumors spread by my competitors.
Exactly.
I denounce it.
All right, Rolf, you've had a big weekend. Julie was in town. She's been doing some work with yourself and Omni. You guys had your Omni Vendor Appreciation Fiesta last night.
That's correct.
Sounds like it was a hit.
We had a great time, a way just to acknowledge our vendors, thank them for what they're doing, and give them a little education.
Okay, all right. So real quick, just give everybody a little bit of a biography about yourself. I know that you started as a maintenance guy a long time ago up in Reading, and you were pounding in fence nails and doing some things like that.
That's correct. Started out as a maintenance manager, went into full-time management within a year of doing that, and subsequently I've held several tours of duty, if you will, within the industry, from VP of Operations. I've been an association banker. I've run a large management company for one of the big box players in the industry, and I've also been in the construction industry as a chief marketing officer and chief operations officer. And now I'm honored and privileged to be at Omni.
Yeah, take over the reins at Omni, and everything looks like it's just headed in the right direction.
We're absolutely moving in the right direction. Phenomenal staff. Love our staff. Love what we do. And we focus mainly just on the culture aspects. So how we do things is as important as what we do. And if
All
we do
smiles.
it right, we're going to take care of folks the right way, and they're going to feel it, and things are going to happen the way they should.
All smiles and positive energy when I stop by Omni. Okay, Rolf, you wanted to kind of just lay it out there. You have the topic of the day.
I have the topic of the day. So I have, in my research, have unearthed the Magna Carta of the industry, if you will. For those of you who don't know a lot about the history of the industry, just a quick down and dirty. And Frank, if we're getting close to the break, you need to give us an upshot.
There you go. Just leave them with a cliffhanger, Rolf.
That's the tease. So when we come back, I will talk about the Magna Carta, where we came from, and where we're at today.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm not even going to run to the coffee
Don't go
machine.
away.
If your community association has a good relationship with their current management company, you can stop listening. However, if you are struggling with your current service provider, we'd love to talk with you to see if Omni Community Management would be a good fit. Transparency, education, communication, and trust are just 4 of the qualities that set Omni apart. This is Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni. Call us at 916-965-8964. That's 916-965-8964. Online at omni-mgt.com. That's omni-mgt.com. Omni Community Management, your friend in the community association management industry for over 20 years.
Have you ever heard of the saying, a person's home is their castle? Of course you have. But sometimes a construction defect can turn your castle into a catastrophe. If this happens to you, you need proper and professional representation. You need Angius&Terry, LLP. For over 30 years, the attorneys at Angius&Terry have been effectively serving homeowners and community associations, recovering more than $500 million on behalf of their clients. Angius&Terry strives to ensure that your construction defect claims are prosecuted in an aggressive and cost-effective manner. Angius&Terry will also continue to work with homeowners and community associations after the construction defect claims are concluded to make sure that the money received from builders is spent wisely and that your interests are protected during the repair process. Don't let a construction defect turn your castle into a catastrophe. Call Angius&Terry LLP today at 916-567-1400. That's 916-567-1400. Online at angius-terry.com. Angius&Terry LLP. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
News, opinion, insight. AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Saturday HOA Brunch. If you'd like to join our conversation, it's 888-923-1380, or just relax with your breakfast and listen to us. So today in studio, we have Julie Adamen and we have Rolf Crocker, both community association experts. So now we're going to get into the heart of what we're going to talk about today. And this is, in part, historical nature. So this is really interesting stuff.
So with that, there was the federal government, in partnership with the National Association of Home Builders, recognized in the late 50s, early 60s, that land was running out. They needed to figure out a way to get land density but still maintain some green space. So with a grant from the FHA and from HUD, using the Urban Land Institute, they did a 2-year study with about 4 or 5 different individuals. There were attorneys, sociologists, architectural professionals, and the advent of that study was the Homes Association Handbook, which is Technical Bulletin 50 from the Urban Land Institute, of which I happen to have a copy. My good industry friend, Cliff Treese, he may not feel that way about me, but I feel that way about him, certainly. I happen to have a copy of this archival document. And from this document in 1964, up until that point, there were 500 community associations in the United States of America.
Spread out
all around the country. In fact, St. Francis Wood is referenced in this book. Actually, a property I used to manage back in the day, Geneva Terrace, is actually in this book before what we know it to be today. This book contained not just land density and zoning and design, but it also contained sample governing documents, CC&Rs, bylaws, leadership information, how boards of directors were to be constructed. It's a 408-page tome that really became ultimately the source document for community associations as we know them today. And after this book was written, we went from 500 community associations in the United States of America to 1970 having 10,000 associations.
What a jump.
So just a couple years later. And do you think that was because of this book?
Absolutely because of that book. The more you dig into and realize the history, both from a developer standpoint and from the federal government standpoint, that drove, a public-private partnership drove the advent of community associations throughout the 60s.
Now, what's crazy is I think now, I can see those numbers just jumping to the extreme, but we have resources like Amazon and eBay. So back in 1964,
none of that existed.
How did they distribute this manual all over the country so that different organizations, whether it be cities, counties, states, were able to utilize this material?
Well, the driver from...
Because to me, this is archaic, Rolf, 1964.
That's a
I'm
young
sorry.
person
Sorry,
question,
Frank.
isn't it?
I don't want to age you back there. Sorry.
I was
what
a year old then, so thank you for that, brother. I appreciate that.
Distribution of this. How did everyone find out?
So distribution was through the National Association of Home Builders, and the gentleman who spearheaded the study on behalf of the FHA was a gentleman by the name of Byron Hankey. Byron Hankey was a Harvard-trained architect. And with him, with attorneys and sociologists and others, began disseminating this information. In fact, Byron would speak to groups as big as 1,700 home builders. So what is this all about? And he would teach on this from this book and explain it to them, where there's a secondary book called the Community Handbook for Building Shopping Centers and Commercial Things. The section on HOAs refers back to this book as the primary source book. It doesn't even contain much on community associations. It sends them back to Technical Bulletin 50, the Homes Association Handbook.
Wow. Julie, did you have a comment on distribution? It looked like maybe you were going to give me an answer.
I was just going to say Pony Express because,
Pony Express.
you are such a young person. Do I have to explain that to you, too?
No,
Oh,
I
okay,
understand the
just
Pony Express.
Carrier pigeons.
That's
Carrier
that's
pigeons.
the
That's a big bird.
kind of the logo that they have with Wells Fargo with the horses and buggy and
Yeah,
everything.
Very good.
Gotcha.
Very
Yeah.
good. So the interesting thing so obviously this great source document exists, and but what really drove some of this research for me is that there have been secondary textbooks written about the advent of the early days of community associations, and this particular book by a gentleman by the name of Donald Stabile had pulled out from Technical Bulletin 50 a list of 12 skills that were necessary for board members of community associations. And in fact, I'm just going to read to you just briefly from this particular tome. They assumed that the folks in the study group were intended for persons of above average income, usually college educated with work experience or volunteer experience. Now, this is 1964, what they thought of what the
board member
a board member needed to be in order to be a good board
and they
member.
were volunteers still.
Volunteer board
yeah,
members.
but you had to get a college education.
Well, this is what they're assuming.
You wanted to
within
be
the
above
document.
middle class.
They're assuming that, but they even said even if you were in a lower income community association, residents there typically had at least experience in other association work. But Technical Bulletin 50 then offered a list of skills essential for directors and officers of community associations. Are we ready?
Rock and roll.
All right, number 1, the ability to set the stage for community thinking. Number 2, the ability to summarize decisions orally, drawing together the main ideas. Number 3, ability to write concise summaries. Number 4, now these are board members in 1964.
Stone and chisel.
The ability to apply research results to problems. Number 5, the ability to direct public discourse toward its intended goal. Number 6, the ability to organize an administrative structure. Number 7, the ability to publicize programs via all media. This is 1964. This is pre-social media.
So that was just the newspaper and
Newsletters
some journals
and
and
things
stuff
like
like
that.
Yeah, they
And
weren't
there are-
tweeting or anything.
And there are examples of newsletters in this book that have the classic clip art type newsletters. There's lots of information on that. The ability to time group action to the moment when members are prepared to take a particular step forward. The ability to identify and involve persons with needed skills. That's number 9. Number 10, the ability to relate successfully to all kinds of people. Number 11, ability to negotiate between diverse groups. And finally, number 12, ability to choose among roles of leader, partner, and doer according to the situation.
That's it. That's all we needed to do, and we wouldn't have a lot of the messes we have today, right?
So in 1964, some really smart people put a lot of thought into this and actually came up with a great, concise statement of general leadership skills that were necessary for community associations. And I would submit to you 52 years later that all of those still apply.
They do apply, but are they utilized?
Or do we find the people?
Or do we find the people that have those skills?
Well, that's been our whole discussion for the last, 36 hours that we've been talking about it. Rolf and I have been, we've had a lot of time back and forth in the car and talked about this. And in today's community association environment, how hard it is to find volunteers, number one, how hard it is to find qualified volunteers. And, if you really think about it, this list of 12, that's what most boards expect of their managers today.
Right. That's what's necessary. It's hard for many of our community associations. We can't even fill a board. We can't even get enough people to be on the board. So this skill set, this is a management skill set for community associations.
Well, that's
right?
what we're expecting. But, the most well-run community associations, and you think about it, in all of your guys' work, all of your work, Rolf, it really, when the manager is good, that's terrific. But when the board is good, that's when the community is well run, and it's very difficult to find them all.
Now, can you imagine when the board is good and the manager has that skill set?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a gem, right?
It's Nirvana.
It is Nirvana.
I mean, essentially, that's what you would want ultimately.
Yes, absolutely.
And you would just be smooth sailing to the sunset, right?
Well, yeah, as good as it can be in this industry. But truly, it is. When I was privileged enough, the community I was telling you about that large scale I managed that went through the defect litigation, I had a board like that. They were excellent. They were absolutely excellent. Matter of fact, the board president, he was a senior vice president, retired for Southern California Edison. And here's a guy who knew exactly how to manage people, how to manage volunteers, how to bring people to a conclusion. And, despite the fact that they were a relatively well-to-do community, you're still spending money. You're still getting these things done. There's a lot of contention. And they handled it, that entire board, with its 7-member board, with aplomb and grace, and just in an excellent manner. Of course, I was the manager too, so that helped. But
absolutely.
But it was them.
Well, let's do it. Let's give you another plug then. So on Community Association 101, the online course that you're going to be rolling out to help assist managers with their career and dealing with situations on a day-to-day basis with their community associations that they manage. Do you hope that those courses are going to help managers gain maybe some of these bullet points that they don't have?
Well, I will tell you, that would be the next section. That would be more like the master's degree.
Okay.
What I'm putting out there this time is because we're at full employment in our industry. You can't find managers. Am I right, Rolf?
That's correct.
I mean, everyone's crying for it. There's no one out there. There's a reason for that. I don't know how much time we have to go into. I'll tell you real quickly.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, that's plenty of
Okay,
time,
well, let me
right?
just... I talk fast. It's good. Just think about this. So in 2008, when the crash happened, development comes to a stop. New development is what drives people into our industry, because no matter whether it's at the low level, at a high level, everyone needs to start managing more, and new communities are coming on. When development stops, the people stop coming into the business. And everyone who was going to retire in 2010, 2011, they didn't do it. So everyone held tight. Management companies flung off all the chaff. They kept their good people. And then in 2013, when the market started coming back up, development started coming back up, people started retiring out in our industry who'd been holding off. So what you have now is new projects, new stuff coming up, and not enough people to manage.
I agree 100%.
Right.
I was driving around in the Bay Area, and you look on the freeway, whether it's the 101, the 680, the 580, the 237, whatever freeway you're on, look to the left, look to the right. What do you see? Mid-rise condominiums going up, 5-story. I mean, apartments aren't necessarily our industry, but just building. It's taking off again.
Plus, there is now managers who are retiring.
That's what I'm saying. They retired out.
I'm having that.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that in the associations I do work for, that the managers are retiring.
They are. And so who's taking their place? So these classes that I have are the absolute basic, here's what you do when you sit down at your desk. So, I mean, people still, how do they get trained in this industry? Here's your desk, sit down.
Yeah.
Go there.
But in this industry, you don't necessarily have to have an elite college degree.
No.
You can come in entry level, and we have different institutions, organizations that are actually going to help assist and guide you so that you can actually move up in this
Absolutely.
industry.
In fact, I say all the time, I can teach skills, but I can't teach heart.
Yeah.
And it's the heart, the people management, that's really the key to making all
It's the people
this
component.
work.
Neither Rolf nor I have a college degree.
And this industry takes heart.
Yes, it does. And you
cannot
have to
do it
love
without
people.
it.
Thick
Gotta love
skin,
people.
heart. Do you want to throw any other characteristics out
Alcohol.
there? Alcohol. All right. So on that note, we're going to go to break. Julia would like me to pour her a scotch, and then we're going to come
a little
back
early.
for the third segment of the Saturday HOA Brunch, and we're just going to keep running through a little bit of this history. Byron Hankey. I'm going to Google that name over the break and see what comes up. We'll be back.
Having trouble understanding your community association's reserve study? Does your HOA's reserve study seem to be written in a strange language? Hi, I'm Robert Browning, owner of the Browning Reserve Group. At the Browning Reserve Group, we have been providing easy-to-understand reserve studies since 1999. We actually listen to our communities and help them plan for the future. Find us online at browningrg.com That's browningrg.com or toll free at 877-708-0600. That's 877-708-0600. Clarity from complexity, the Browning Reserve Group.
If you are a community association or manager, you know your banking relationship is vital to your success. At Sacramento Bank of Commerce, a division of Redding Bank of Commerce, our industry expertise and personal attention make that task a breeze. With our specialized banking, lockbox, online banking, and remote deposit capture, trips to the bank are no longer necessary. And Sacramento Bank of Commerce can help your communities with a loan to repair, replace, or upgrade the investment. For local decisions and in-house processing, get in touch with our team today. Call Sacramento Bank of Commerce at 916-772-0131. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you see the story about the Homeowners Association? I wonder what their residents think.
I don't know, but I love my condominium association. The place looks great and is well managed, and our property values are increasing.
Well, that's a good thing.
Community Associations Institute, CAI, has helped us build a great community. They have tools for safeguarding our investment, including education for our board and professional training for our manager. Just visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
Okay, responsiblecommunities.com.
AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Saturday HOA Brunch. And we are with Julie Adamen and Rolf Crocker, Community Association experts. If you want to join the conversation, call 888-923-1380, 888-923-1380. We hope you're enjoying your brunch with us this fine morning.
Indeed. We are. The good counselor hooked us up with a very fine buffet of breakfast foods and beverages, and we're noshing away here. So thank you for taking good care of us, sir.
The golden
you're
arches.
Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Breakfast of champions.
Come on now.
You weren't supposed to mention that part.
Okay, Rolf, we were talking about the history and how this set of standards, all these thinkers got together. They put this list of just 12 characteristics, and they say, if you can do this, you're going to be successful.
Well, a lot of smart people thought this through and realized these are the characteristics that you really need to make all of these issues happen, because there's so many different moving parts in a community association, and all of those things are true and accurate. I would challenge anybody to try to say that any one of those is not necessary for anything in a political or in a homeowners association. But the one thing that I'm thinking now, 54 years later, that we're still kind of here wrestling with some of these things is what we know the technicals, but we don't give enough emphasis to the political dynamics that exist within a homeowners association.
Absolutely.
I often say that decisions have two components. There's an economic component and a political component. The economic components are usually fairly straightforward. It's the political dynamics. The political dynamics of understanding different people with different philosophy.
Or agendas.
And the people who serve on our board of directors, God bless our board members, because the situation that this dynamic places them in to want to serve in a situation that can oftentimes be hostile, especially when you have to make difficult decisions on behalf of your neighbors. And trying to help them navigate those political waters, most of us, even managers or board members, don't come equipped with the tools to understand how to navigate those waters. And all of this gets down to that.
And it brings up this point from this TB50 handout that you have, and I'm quoting it.
Please.
I'm not this smart that I just created this.
Oh, come on, own it, brother. It's all good.
But it says in here, it's also warned those who offer themselves as directors or committee chairmen do not always have the necessary talent to operate a community organization such as a homes association.
Correct. So they're
not politicians.
No, they're not politicians. They're lay people.
Yeah.
That just kind of come into this.
But they turn real political real quick when things in the community start to change, or when they possibly start to
there's issues about money.
Or there's issues about money.
Well, and it's the nature of the beast. It's nature of human beings. And when I say these, or when we talk about this being political, politics isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, that just means people dealing with people. And how do people get on a board of directors? Well, I sit on my own board of directors. Really, what was I thinking? But why? Because I feel the need to serve. And how hard is it to find people who have that free time, who have even 2 or 3 of these skills, of these 12 that Rolf did, it's so difficult to find them. Why? They're the ones they're at work, they got kids, they're busy, they don't want to do it. And yes, the politics are hard to wade through, good politics or bad.
Yeah, let me underline what Julie said. A lot of people say politics like it's a dirty word. But you're right. That is just people dealing with people. And at community associations, the politics is as important as the money aspect. They're intertwined,
if not more.
And so I think that board members need to get by that perspective that politics is a bad thing. It is an inherent quality, characteristic of our lives. And at community associations, since the community association is your government, is your corporation running your association, then you have to accept it, and you have to, instead of
embrace it.
You have to embrace it.
It's because
well
it's real. I talk to lots of boards of directors. They'll call me. They want to talk about getting a new general manager or something for these large-scale associations. And I'm always telling them, anyone can get the lawns mowed. Anyone can get the lawns mowed or the streets plowed or whatever it is, right? It's the people component. It's that political skill. And those managers who have that top-notch, high-end political skill, they're the ones you're looking for. And frankly, they are few and far between, and they're retiring out.
And also the product and service providers to community associations as well. Those, and our, it is our sponsors, but the reason why they are successful is because they understand this component. The construction companies that provide services to community associations, they know that the client being a community association is different than other types of clients.
Well, you're dealing with multiple members usually when one homeowner versus 200 homeowners. Mm-hmm. Can't you see the difference there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about the communication too, intertwined with the politics.
Well, and throw this into the mix. The boards change. So it's always musical chairs, even if they are staggered terms, meaning not everyone is up for election every year. It's a 5-member board. 2 members may be up one year, 3 the next. And then people resign because they can't take it or whatever. And so you're always having this dynamic change. Not to mention, all of those people come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, and people look at things differently. If you're 70 years old, your decision-making process is different than a 40-year-old. Totally different.
Absolutely. And how dynamic have you seen these boards? You've seen like a president of a tech company, and then a fireman, and then a gentleman that runs a landscaping company, and then someone that just volunteered because they needed to fill a seat, and maybe they're a clerk at the grocery store.
Yeah, and Julie raised an interesting point that I've been thinking about lately, and that is at senior citizen associations, we now have a pretty big spread in the age of the owners and the residents, right? You're going from 55.
It's a huge issue.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I go to these meetings and I look out there, now that I'm getting up in years, so I have different perspective. Nevertheless, I look out there and I see what really looks to me like young people sitting next to elderly people because we are living longer,
Right.
We're healthier, and not only are we living longer, but we're more active when we're elderly, right, Rolf?
Absolutely. No, we're definitely more active. So those dynamics all change, but it's all understanding the politics. And I think if I would fault these 12 skills that were developed in 1964, I don't fault the skills, but the thing I might fault is and I think that's still true today, is our inability to recognize the political nature and to really address it more from a sociological, political standpoint. How we do things is as important as what we do. And the methodology there is the way that you get that buy-in from people and doing the right thing, where they have that trust in you and you're able to build that kind of trust.
All right. And also sort of a personal opinion of mine, and that is that community associations need professional management.
Speaking of which, I think we might have a caller. And hopefully,
why don't you welcome him in, Jonathan?
I'm going to welcome him. Is our secretary, Frank Jolly, is linking him up with us. Can you hear us, caller?
You're now calling him secretary, huh?
Well, he has a lot of different positions. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, Frank just yelled. He gave it away. Deanna, a friend of ours and a frequent listener to the show. Deanna, did you want to comment and maybe discuss what you have going on in studio here? What's the purpose of your call besides me wanting to compliment you for doing a great job sitting in for me last week?
Welcome to the show,
thank
Deanna.
you very much, Jonathan. I should be there this morning, too. I really liked the conversation this morning, and it's very true. That's one thing Dan Kokel taught me is personal touch.
Well
personal
said.
Relationship. That's how you build trust with board members. And what these two people are saying on your show today is very true. So, but I just wanted to say I enjoyed it last week. And Jonathan, I want to take your place. So when you're ready to retire, let me know.
So 1 foot on the banana peel, 1 in the grave.
Oh, nice.
And I'll tell you what, Deanna, I'll take you up on sleeping in on a Saturday morning anytime. So your number's going to the top of my favorites on my smartphone.
Hey, the hubby's already mad I'm working at Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. But that's okay. It's worth it. You guys
Details.
are great. So thanks and have a wonderful day. And great job, Rolf and Julie, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Thank you, Deanna. Yeah,
professional manager.
I love hearing Dan Kokel's name. It is just so much that he has contributed to the industry, his whole approach and everything. Yeah, great.
They have a scholarship now.
Great guy.
I think through CACM.
That's correct.
So that's a good thing. Well, Deanna, she's definitely a professional manager.
Yes.
So thanks for the call and the shout out. And yes, we're honored to have Julie and Rolf here in studio with us on the Saturday.
Right, and
HOA
before we move on, I just want to say this too, that in all the laws. So I'm an attorney for community associations. Been doing it for most of my life, and at least it feels that
You're
way.
You're aging well, counselor.
Indeed.
And I'm thinking that the laws they take into consideration the politics as well. I'm thinking about the open meeting law. I'm thinking about the law that says that a board member cannot have a term for more than 4 years in California. That's the limit for that term. I mean, you could be reelected again. And I'm thinking that's the politics. That is people dealing with people. It's sort of like presidents in the United States. You can't have more than 2 terms. So I think the law takes into consideration politics as well. So as Julie said, I think it's really important that you embrace politics. I do see board members, I'm sure you guys do as well. A person will get on the board, a homeowner will get on the board, and then they will get off the board real quickly. Because,
absolutely.
Right? They get so scared of it's the politics.
Well, the reality kicks in. It's like, oh my goodness, what did I sign up for? I mean, the first year I was a community association manager up in Redding, California, I turned in my resignation letter 3 times the first year. Doing it because the politics ran so deep and there were definitely some polarizing issues, and I ended up in the middle of it, and it's difficult to process all that.
You say politics, hot election, right, up in Serrano. I'm the young man scrolling on my smartphone, board members purchasing advertisements on social media. Then I go up to my father's house up in Serrano, driving through the neighborhood. You would think that it was for the presidential election, but it's for the board of directors. Campaign signs.
I've seen that before, too. Up in Northern California, there was a large-scale association.
And what's the limit on what a board member can invest on their own campaign for a board of directors election?
Well, taking the presidential campaign into, I guess people who have money can do a lot of things.
I think it's zero.
As much as you want, right? Citizens United, okay.
Is there a monetary amount, counselor, that a board of directors that wants to be reelected could spend on his campaign? No amount.
I'm nodding my head. My head.
Is there a law on how much you can donate?
No, I'm shaking my head.
Shaking your head.
Can you donate?
The answer is no.
It's radio. It's radio, counselor.
Is there a limit on what you can donate to a board member running, like a campaign contribution?
Again, I'm shaking my head. The answer is no.
There you go.
Why, Jonathan?
Politics
are you advocating some kind of a law?
I think that there should be a cap. Yeah.
I think you're a libertarian. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
We'll see. Less government control, more government control. What is it?
I don't know. Well, we'll think about it, and then maybe I'll go pound on the Capitol steps to see if we can get something written up. Okay, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. We're going to wrap this thing up. A great Saturday HOA brunch. What is this edition? 81?
This is
81. You're I graduated from high school. It's a good number.
There you go. I wasn't even born yet. But we'll be back from the break with Julie and Rolf.
If your community association has a good relationship with their current management company, you can stop listening. However, if you are struggling with your current service provider, we'd love to talk with you to see if Omni Community Management would be a good fit. Transparency, education, communication, and trust are just 4 of the qualities that set Omni apart. This is Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni. Call us at 916-965-8964. That's 916-965-8964. Online at omni-mgt.com. That's omni-mgt.com. Omni Community Management, your friend in the community association management industry for over 20 years.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and/or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
The challenges presented by today's economy and rebounding housing market is forcing many homeowners association boards of directors to operate their HOAs more like a business. It's a balancing act of trying to stay solvent and still provide homeowners with quality amenities and services. One of the main challenges HOA boards are facing is attempting to recover unpaid HOA fees owed by delinquent homeowners. Collection efforts are often very time-consuming. If you want to get the HOA fees collection monkey off of your back, call ATC Assessment Collection Group. ATC is an attorney-supervised collection company, providing collection and foreclosure services to HOAs in both California and Nevada's most recognizable communities. Get back to what you actually volunteered to do as an HOA board member. Effectively oversee your community. Call ATC today at 916-641-1410. That's 916-641-1410. Online at atcacg.com. That's atcacg.com. ATC Assessment Collection Group. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
News, opinion, insight. AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380. The Answer.
You hear that, Julie?
I hear it.
The Wells Fargo Pony Express, the horse hooves.
Oh, is that it?
Into town. Yeah, I found it. All right, we're back. No more playing around. Back to business, right?
888-923-1380. 888-923-1380.
If you want to tune into the HOA Power Hour, Julie, Adamen, and Rolf Crocker, you can look them up on their website.
You're not changing our name, are you?
Adamen, right?
Adamen.
No, our name.
Our name?
You keep calling us the Power Hour.
No,
we are the
Brunch
Saturday HOA Brunch.
HOA Power Hour. Yeah, we are a Power Hour of HOA.
You're slowly changing the name to the Power Hour.
Rebranding, no.
Yeah.
So if you want to visit Julie's website, Julie, give us that website again.
www.adamen-inc.com. If you can't remember it, or if you misspell the name, just Google Julie Adamen and you will find me.
Wow, the internet's
I like
amazing.
that. The Management Minute. Is that what it's called?
The Manager Minute. Yeah, we're on YouTube, but you
Oh.
can get to it through our website.
Yeah,
Yep.
great.
Jobs, blogs, videos, and you can consult if you need consulting for
consulting HOAs to management companies. I do. Yep.
And Rolf Crocker's his. So how do we get to your webpage, Rolf?
www.omnicommunities.com.
What's your? So we have listeners from all over. What is your geographic scope for managing?
Interestingly
all
enough,
over the world, Rolf said.
Pretty much all over the world.
That's right. According to Dan Angus, worldwide.
That's right. Can I get a quote for our website? We're mainly in the greater Sacramento area, but we're also in Reno. We are also in the East Bay, or Vacaville, we're Castro Valley, and we have actually a community down in El Cajon near San Diego. So we are continuing to grow, and we're actually looking
to become Omni.
Yeah. Again, we don't want to be the biggest, but we want to be good at what we do.
But the baddest. No, I'm just kidding.
He wants to be the biggest.
Those are like your old rock star days, right? Okay,
Those
so
were the days.
you had a couple of things that you wanted to highlight while we wrap up this great
show.
show.
I've got to land this plane, and there's a whole lot more. Obviously, we should have maybe done the 2-hour version today, but, That costs money, and I get that. So this book came out, and it just rocked the development world. And the industry went at that time in 1964 from 500 community associations to 1970 being 10,000 community associations.
And what's
across
the number
the
now,
country.
real quick? So
the number today is 340,000 homeowners associations nationally. Evan McKenzie, who wrote the book Privatopia, he called this an experiment that became an institution. And we're going to end with a couple of things from him because I think he has some really prescient information. But about 1970, the Urban Land Institute and FHA realized, hey, there's a whole lot of this stuff growing. How are we doing? So they decided to put a survey out to those community associations and get a sense for how they were doing. And the upshot is that 7 years after this, that the survey of residents, 39% rated their associations as good, 42% fair, 19% as poor. Comments by some respondents show some sources of discontent. This is 1970. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, our association is a dictatorship. Number 2, I don't appreciate the restrictions of the association. It's just too socialistic for me. This is 1970. Number 3, one of the greatest needs is better management companies. Also, if board members do not have management experience, it can be disastrous.
Like a tornado.
Number 4, as a member of the maintenance committee, I find we have little direction or understanding of how to manage the common area or run the association. And then number 5, why can't someone set up a seminar for townhouse officials and aid them in making the proper decisions? So really, FHA, these issues were already manifesting then, and they knew something needed to be done. So they had talked, even in Technical Bulletin 50, about at some point creating a clearinghouse for the community association industry that was multi-pronged, that dealt with the homeowners, the consumers, for board members, for the builders, the government agencies to all be there together, the public officials. So around 1973, a grant between the FHA, HUD, Urban Land Institute, and the National Association of Home Builders put together a $300,000 seed fund. And they created this organization that was forecasted originally in Technical Bulletin 50, and that organization is the Community Associations Institute, CAI. So that is the genesis of how CAI came about.
Pretty good history lesson today. What do you say, Counselor?
Yeah, and so I think CAI does a really good job. I think so how many years has it been since CAI?
1973 was their first meeting.
Get your calculator out. You got that smartwatch.
Yeah.
Got 44 years?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, and so I think CAI does a really good job. I think that they're a good clearinghouse. They have the luncheons. They provide a lot of good booklets. They provide a place for networking at the luncheons.
It's resources, a great resource, especially for board members. Talking to them for a minute. I mean, there's more than you realize.
There's going to be a luncheon coming up on September 15th in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a great speaker.
Speaking, neighbor-to-neighbor disputes.
Yeah, don't miss that one.
Little short, old guy, been in the industry way too long. Counselor Brad Epstein.
Wow. I thought you said Brad was speaking for that one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had a great time with you guys in studio. We're going to do this again, and we're going to do it sooner than later.
Well, we'd love to be back on. Honored to be here, so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes,
a little of advice for boards of directors if they want to get stuff done during their meetings.
And I also think we'd be a lot better off if we actually talked to each other.
Come on now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Preach.
So, hey, if anybody wants to join the show, just shoot us an email, and we will get you on the show. Community managers, vendors,
or play Battle of Board Members.
Battle of the Board Members. We love doing this every week. We hope you enjoy it, and you guys have a safe weekend. Safe travels back to Washington.
Thank you.